I know that that's not entirely sufficient, so you would need the coffee shop to kind of supplement the income and stuff. But then you can do all of these kind of really cool little events. Like we're gonna have um, like a movie screening there, or have open mic nights and really encourage people and art show kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and make
like
it
like a hub.
exactly.
And that's kind of what's missing these days, because a lot of, like, back in the 50s, 60s, or whatever, there was this idea of like a third place where you have your home, that's your first place, you have your workplace or your school, that's your second place, and then you have a third place like church or a bar or
The
some.
soda hop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, there's a crisis these days, where that third place is gone. And then, like, for people in our field, the work from homers, the home and the workplace it's one place.
Yeah.
So, it just places where we can just kind of go, be people again. Even post pandemic, it's still kind of
Oh yeah.
difficult.
Or that sense of community,
Yeah.
is huge, and especially with how part of it is that like people aren't buying houses until
Yeah.
they're
Just
older.
apartments. You can't even get an
'Cause
apartment.
exactly, and you're gonna be moving from apartment to apartment to apartment, because you're gonna always try to find the spot that's slightly cheaper, or maybe you get priced out of your current one or whatever, and so for me, like that's been absolutely massive is being able to develop a community, um, like I remember I was looking at leaving Arizona a couple years ago because I could afford a house like in some small town in Alabama, right?
Yeah.
And I was like really considering it, and but what stopped me was the fact that I built a community here with my D&D friends and with my mentor and all of these other people, it became harder to leave, right? Which is funny because the first thing I wanted to do when I arrived to Arizona from Hawaii was that I wanted to leave.
Are you from Hawaii?
I'm not, but I lived there for a year.
You had me there for a second. I mean, not. Where are you from? Are you from here?
No, I grew up in Lake Tahoe, California, on the California side because that's the cooler side. Um, but I grew up there for the first 15 years, and then I moved to a small town, an even smaller town called Virginia City, Nevada, which is it's like Jerome except smaller and older and way more violent.
Yeah, it's great. American animation, that's where it's at. You have Avatar, you have the Boondocks.
Oh, the Boondocks is one of my all-time and one of the best openings
Oh yeah,
of all
definitely.
time. Like,
100%. The song goes perfectly,
yeah,
and then the casting is perfect
yeah.
too.
I had that. I actually had the opening line from the Boondocks as my like MySpace headline for a
And the
long time.
stone that the
the builder
builder
refused.
refused.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. Exactly.
That's so cool. I'm really, I'm really upset that they stopped after the third season, and then, as you know, um, I'm blanking on his name. Actor who plays Granddad,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
John Whitaker,
Think
something
so.
along those lines. He
Yeah,
unfortunately passed away.
yeah,
Uh, so if they do try to redo the show, they're gonna have to do something
yeah,
about that. He's a huge part of the show. They'd be like they got rid of Uncle Ruckus.
yeah. Exactly. I know, and I mean, when they did kind of reboot it, and there was something off about the animation and stuff. I
In the
couldn't
third
just,
season,
yeah,
that's when they switched, I think, to like computer animation rather
yeah,
than just drawing it out
yeah.
just frame by frame.
And it seemed like the pacing was different
Yeah,
throughout it,
I think
like,
so too. The first seasons are definitely a lot better.
oh gosh. The Heat Wave episode and the Bob Ross episode are two of my absolute favorite things.
One that I still quote to this day is the itis episode when the Onceler guy, he buys a restaurant in a poor neighborhood so
Oh yeah.
he can get the land across the park, but he does it by ravaging the neighborhood with just bad food, and it's supposed to be like this allegory to introducing drugs to a poor neighborhood so
Oh
you
yeah.
can bring the cost of everything
The
down low.
gentrification.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's the biggest word.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like right smack dab in between of like introvert and extrovert. You know, I love interacting with people, but at the same time, you know, I might be in a room full of people and just kind of sit back and just, you know, just chill or just, you know, kind of survey the room,
Yeah.
you know, before I, you know, contribute anything, you know.
You just kind of feel out the room, and then you jump in whenever you feel that. That's the introvert tactic, honestly.
Yeah.
And then you're lucky if you have a drink right there, because you know what they say: one drink turns an introvert into a normal person. And no, I understand about that. I think I'm more of an introvert. I try to be an extrovert. I used to be pretty quiet as a kid.
Yeah.
Really mousy. Like people would always go up to me. What did you say? What are you? You know, and that's always kind of cringe on its own.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean because I don't want to say that I was outspoken, you know, growing up, but I would always, as a, you know, growing up, I would try to, you know, speak my mind, but there were always other people that were, you know, more commanding of the room.
Was it the other Chris's? Was it how many
Yes.
Chris's are there in your household?
So yeah, so me and my two sisters, we're all named Chris, right?
There's
There's
three
me.
Chris's.
Yeah, there's me, Chris, or Christopher is my full name. Then my middle sister is Christy Ann. She goes by Christy for short. And then my youngest sister is Crystal. So, you know, obviously Crystal is spelled Crystal.
Yeah,
So it's
but
not
you just
Chris per
pretend.
se, but the sound of it, it's still Chris, right?
I admire the creativity. I would have ran out of Chris names after the
jeez.
second.
So my mom told me growing up that she had originally thought about naming me Mark Anthony,
Okay.
but never went with it. She came up with Christopher and stuck with that. Now, I'm not sure like how true this is, but like in the Philippines, I guess it's not necessarily a tradition because not everyone does it, but sometimes you'll find people that will like pick a letter and stick with that for all the names.
Okay.
Like good example of this besides me and my siblings, I have a cousin whose name is Roderick, but he goes by Richie. His younger sister is Rayanne, another R, and then the youngest is RJ. So it's all R's.
It appeals to the OCD in all of us. You know,
Yeah.
it's handy if anything. It's easy to remember. You don't have to stress yourself about coming up with too many crazy names.
It is, but then when your parents are mad and they call out, it's like, oh, hey, Chrissy, Chris, Crystal.
Oh my God.
All three of us come into the room. It's like, okay, what do we do? Like, who are you mad at? So yeah, there was always that too. But yeah,
Well, you mentioned the Philippines, and I think before this conversation, you mentioned your first or second generation.
first generation. So yeah, my parents came here to the U.S. In the late 70s, early 80s. If I remember correctly, I think my mom came here like in 77, and then my dad followed not too long after, like in 79 or 80. And then, so my mom's mom, my grandmother on her side, she's a very religious woman, right? Part of what was able to bring my dad over was the fact that they had a civil marriage, right? But my grandmother, like even though he was living under the same roof with my mom and the other family that were all living in the house together at the time, she, my grandma was adamant that they had to sleep in separate rooms until they were married in the church.
Okay.
So my parents actually have two anniversaries. Their civil union anniversary and their church anniversary.
Well, that's nice though. I'm sure your mom doesn't mind at all.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's my mom's like one of those people that where she kind of keeps to herself, So like I feel like um, there's still so much I don't know about my mom, because she didn't never really share, you know, how a lot about growing up. Like I literally had to find out a lot of stuff from my aunts, about like um, so my dad used to send letters to my mom all the time from the Philippines.
That's
You know,
romantic though.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess my grandma would intercept some of those letters,
Oh, no.
so she wouldn't always get them. I didn't know about any of that until one of my aunts had explained this story to me when my dad was in town visiting, just him. I can't remember why it was just him. I think um, or you know what? No, maybe because I don't think he actually came out to visit without my mom. So my mom must have been, with my other aunt, the one that had passed away recently back in November. And it was just me and my dad at my other aunt's house. And yeah, she goes on like all these different stories about my parents and like how my dad courted her and stuff like that. Um, my mom actually, I guess, didn't like my dad at first.
Oh no.
Yeah, but my dad was very persistent, and obviously here I am.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Thank
know,
goodness. Like, have a whole Back to the Future moment where you start fading. I
Oh,
actually hated him.
man.
The timelines are changing.
I want to get more animals. I want to get a pig. I want to get chickens. I want a goat. I want basically my own petting zoo.
Like how I mean, with the area in Prescott, it's perfect for that.
Yeah, I love Prescott. I'd love like ideally to have horses again because I haven't had a horse.
Horses again.
Yeah, I grew up riding horses. Yeah, and I had horses like up until I was like 30. I think I got rid of my last horse when I was 30 because it's really expensive. It's a very, very expensive hobby. But it was a really cool thing to do. Like when you're growing up though, like I showed horses. So
Hmm.
that was like that was like that weird, in one of our huddles. Remember when they said nobody could guess that it was me? It was so funny.
Oh right.
I know, it was so funny, and I wasn't sure because they're like, what, like, tell me something that nobody's gonna know about you, and I'm like, I don't think a lot of people know that I rode horses, but like I showed, like yeah, I showed side saddle, costume, I jumped, I did dressage, I did literally everything. It was so fun, and we used to like go and like there's like a circuit of shows, and I remember I went to the States to show horses too.
Mhm.
I went to Oregon and Washington, and I went to the only other province I went to was Alberta. I went to Alberta. They had regionals there one year, but yeah, it was cool. Yeah, my sports growing up was, well, I played the piano. Can that be a sport?
Yeah. No, that's a finger sport.
Okay, it's my finger sport. I played piano. I rode horses, and I played tennis. But I was telling Eric and everybody yesterday that I was really lucky when I was a kid because my parents literally put me in everything. Like they put me in everything, and I was so bad at everything until obviously I was good at riding horses, I was good at playing piano, and I was mediocre at playing tennis, but I was so terrible at so many things. But I did tap, jazz, ballet, I did baseball, I did figure skating, I did karate, honestly, I did pretty much everything. I was put in everything by my parents, which was really cool. I really, like, looking back, I really appreciate that they did that for me, because I think that a lot of kids don't get that opportunity. I had a lot of opportunity when I was a kid. I also have 4 brothers and sisters, so
Are you
it
the
didn't
middle
matter that I was
child, or?
super shy or an introvert because they were forced to play with me,
Mhm.
and which was nice. Like, it was nice. I love having that I had 4 brothers and sisters. It was like they were forced to be my friends. Well, and it was always nice too because I'm born on Christmas Eve. So when I was a kid, I never had birthday parties. I couldn't have birthday parties because what kid was gonna come to my house for a slumber party on Christmas Eve? Like, it's like no one's gonna come to your house on Christmas Eve for a party. Like, they're gonna be with their family.
And then the next week is New Year's, so like
Yeah.
anything you try to plan just would get overshadowed by it. That's rough.
But I
Christmas,
had 4
birthdays.
brothers and sisters, so I wasn't alone. So it's not. I never felt alone.
Mhm.
And my mom was always really good about it. She would always, make sure that my birthday presents were wrapped in birthday paper and
Oh.
Christmas. But I had my own Christmas tree. So we had our Christmas tree in the living room, and then in our games room we had another Christmas tree, and that was my birthday Christmas tree. So that's where my birthday presents went.
Mhm.
And Santa every year at my house would get birthday cake because he'd get my cake.
Mhm.
So he'd get birthday cake and milk. And of course, I was a weirdo too. I totally believed in Santa way longer than everybody else did. And then I realized later that it was like one of my brothers that was his job to eat that cake that was put out for Santa every year.